Okay, now for our measurements, what we're going to take is our bust measurement, our shoulder to bust point, and our shoulder to waist. This is our waist here. When you bend and get a fold, this is your waist. So your shoulder to waist here. And then for, that the stuff we're doing is like cut together sleeves. So we are going to do this. See this bone here, right here? You're going to place your tape right here and this way and get the length of your sleeve like this. So I think I used 12 inches, but I later added 2 to make it like 14. So this is what I used. And now for the round shoulder. So now for the round shoulder, just take this way. This is what you're going to take, so it's not be too tight. Just make sure it's free. It's not too loose, it is not too tight. So this is what you're going to take. When I was doing my pattern, I took the wrong measurement, so I had to add extra inches or while I was cutting instead of on the pattern paper. So I took this is wrong, so this is what you should take. And then you're going to take the full length of your dress. So I took from my waist to how long I want the dress to be. That's your waist to wherever you want the dress to be. And then you take your hip measurements as well. Take your hip measurements. You take your hip measurements as well, and of course your waist measurements. So I think that's all we have to take for this dress. So this is the top pattern we'll be working with. In our borderline first, that's our shoulder line, and then take our bust point, shoulder to bust point, and then you take your shoulder to waist point, and that's half length, but you minus 2 from it because of the extra waistband we'll be adding. So I'm cutting that out just to have smaller piece to work with. So what I'm doing here is just labeling it and just writing out what measurement I have where. I am taking my bust measurement divided by 4, and then I'll take my waist measurement divided by 4 as well. Then we'll go ahead and connect that point. So what I'll be doing next is taking my shoulder measurement. You remember I said we're doing a cut together sleeves. So we'll take the shoulder measurement like I'm measuring here, and then take whatever you measured here and then you place it on your pattern, and then you take your round armhole measurement and place it on your pattern plus 1 inch for the shoulder slant, and then you go ahead and connect it. And do not forget to add your 1 inch sewing allowance. So we would be using this pattern for both the front and the back. Next thing I did was cut off my borderline. So now we are going to take our chest line, which is our bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever I get, you add 1 inch to it for your shoulder slant. That'll give you your chest allowance or your chest line. After doing that, we are going to take our neck width and neck depth as our neck measurement. So I'm taking 3 by 3 inches, and then I'll just make a square. I won't do any curve. I'll just make a square. That's just a guideline to whatever we are doing. Now you go ahead and also take your shoulder slant, and what I'm doing here is just transferring all the lines to the other side, so we have one full front piece. The one shoulder effect, we're going to draw a straight line from one side of our neck width, like I'm doing in the video. We're going to connect it to the chest line of the other side. So now you have one hand effect. So now this is what we are going to do. We are going to place it a little bit on that shoulder line. So now we're going to use this as our pattern. And this is a smaller version because the one I used was a lot bigger and longer. So this table and my camera could not get everything. So I just need to do a smaller version so you can get exactly what I'm doing on this pattern. So this is what we are working on. Now we want to do the down parts of our dress. That is this part. So now for us to do that, we are going to first take let's call this our waistline. This is our waistline. So this is initially like 1/2 inch for joining allowance. So this is our waistline. So our measurements will be starting from this line I drew. So now for us to take our measurements, we have to take our measurement. We have to take whatever measurement we are taking, we are going to minus 2 inches. That's for the vertical measurement. I'm going to minus 2 inches because of the waistband. Because of this waistband, we are going to join the top and the down part to give us this particular waistband. So now I'm going to take my hip point. My hip point is 9 inches. But you see that I'm putting my tape on 2 because I'm minusing 2 inches because of our waistband. So I'm just going to take this. Just assume this is 9 inches. So I'm taking my 9 inches right here. So if you minus 2 from 9, it will give you 7. That's if your hip point is 9 inches, you're going to take 7 from your waistline. If it's 8, you're going to take 6 from your waistline. So like that. So now we have our waist and we have our hip. So now we're going to take our full measurement, our full length. So I'm using the entire length of this paper. So what I used for mine was 42. I am 5'4". So I used 42 and it was perfect. I think I still have to do some adjustments. So now what we are going to take, we've taken our vertical measurement. So the measurement we are going to take now is our horizontal measurement, which is our waist divided by 4, our hip divided by 4. Because the skirt is not straight, it's not a pencil skirt, it's more like an A line. So we're going to do like an A line shape from the hip. So now we're going to say our waist divided by 4 will give us, for me, mine is 6.5 because my waist is 26. So I will take that right here. And for the hip divided by 4, mine is 8.5. So I will just take that right here as well. So I'm going to connect these two. So I'm going to connect this like so. You can just go ahead and make sure this place straight so you can join it together. So from this hip point right here, we're going to take a straight line like a flare. So this is it. It's going to come this way. You can decide however you want it, however full you want it. So this is what I'll be working with. Do not forget to put your sewing allowance, your joining allowance for the waist and your sewing allowance at the side. So I'm just going with the flow with this. So when I did mine, I put 1 inch for my sewing allowance. So now this is what you have right here. So this is what I'm going to be working with. So for the back, we're going to use this pattern to cut the back first before we do some alterations for the front. So because we do not have any zipper allowance at the back, so there's no need for any joining at the back. So we are going to cut it exactly like this for the back. So you're going to go ahead and cut your fabric for the back. So after you've gone ahead to cut your fabric with this pattern, so you're going to trace this to another pattern paper, which I'm doing right here. Because we need 2 pieces for the front and we need 2 pieces for the front, one on the right and one on the left side. So I always notch my hip point. So this is what we have. So now we're working with, this is what we need to get. Now this is our 2 pattern. So now we have to make an alteration to make it this. So for this, let's assume this is the left side. So now we have to cut the left side, which is this one. What I advise you do is take your measurement from here, maybe like, let's say 1.5 inches from 1.5 inches from your side seam, just so that there's enough space to sew your side and sew your seam allowance. So after I take this, I'm just going to eyeball it. So you just eyeball it and put it to the exact measurements you want. Now this is where you become creative. This is where your creativity comes in. Whatever you want to do to this, you do it. You can even curve it. You can do a curve like so, but what I did was straight. So now, instead of doing what I did for mine, was I did it all the way to this point. But instead of doing that, this is my midpoint right here. I'm going to come out by 1 inch and then connect it like so. This is just to eliminate the fact that when you walk, it doesn't open up. So I'm just going to do this. So now we want to get our right side of our skirt. So we are going to notch the midpoint. So I always notch the midpoint. So I'm going to notch the midpoint right here. So we're using this as a reference of how it's going to look like on the dress. So now, from our midpoint right here, I'm just going to do like a slant to our midpoint. I'm not going to do a straight line, a little slant, just small. Let's say 1 inch, or 1 inch from your midpoint. So I'm going to do 1 inch from your midpoint right here and then connect our slants. So I'll try and fold it so we see what we have. You should fold it before you conclude on cutting it. So you see the exact thing you have. You see what you'll be working with. Okay, so now this is what we have right here. It is not as open as I want it. So this is what we have right here. So what I'm going to do now is, because I've seen it that, okay, now this is what we have. Now I'm going to come in here just a little. Just come out here and then open this up again and draw a line like so. So now I'm going to just go ahead and cut it out. So this is the midpoint, yeah? So this is what we have right here. So don't say like, oh, it's not open enough. It is going to be, because when you fold in your fabric, when you want to join, when you fold this in, it opens up. If you see the picture, it only opened up like this because she pushed her leg out and like separated the clothes so you can see the slits. That's the mistake I made. So yeah, so this is exactly what you should cut out. You can still decide to add like a little bit of maybe 1/2 inch to fold in your fabric on this side. So this is what we are working with right here. So now this is your pattern. This is your pattern for your down side. Yeah, this is our pattern. So now this is our top pattern, and this is our skirt pattern. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And let me know if there's any issue. Let me know if there's any questions you have to ask. And I hope this tutorial was helpful to you. And yeah, have an amazing day ahead and happy sewing. See you in the next tutorial.